Sound the alarms, basketball fans. While the sporting world watches Stephen Curry battle through the playoffs with a splinted thumb, our inside sources have uncovered earth-shattering developments happening behind closed doors at Chase Center. The Golden State Warriors, architects of one of basketball's greatest dynasties, are contemplating their most daring move yet. A blockbuster trade for Miami Heat cornerstone Bam Adebayo that could either breathe new life into their championship aspirations or accelerate the end of an era. This watershed moment for the franchise comes at a critical juncture as the Warriors navigate the twilight years of their championship core while simultaneously planning for an uncertain future without the Splash Brothers partnership that revolutionized basketball. The catalyst for this potential seismic shift appears to be mounting dissatisfaction with Buddy Hield, acquired to replace the departed Klay Thompson, but failing to live up to expectations in spectacular fashion. According to Sporting News reporter Caleb Hightower, Warriors executives have watched with increasing alarm as Hield's shooting percentages have plummeted to unacceptable levels, 30.5% from three-point range in December, further declining to 31.5% in January. For a player specifically recruited to replicate Thompson's shooting prowess, these numbers represent a catastrophic underperformance. The nadir came during the play-in tournament against Memphis, where Hield converted just 1 of 4 attempts from beyond the arc, prompting Hightower to deliver the devastating assessment that he seems more like a fraudulent splash brother as time passes. Equally concerning has been Hield's defensive liability, with his perimeter defense making him a consistent target for opposing offenses, a glaring vulnerability that becomes exponentially more problematic during high-stakes playoff basketball, where weaknesses are systematically exploited until they break. While Steve Kerr and Warriors veterans maintain public support for Hield in press conferences, our sources reveal that private conversations within the organization tell a dramatically different story. Team meetings have reportedly stretched into early morning hours, with the front office divided into competing factions, debating the franchise's optimal path forward. Multiple sources confirm that an initial meeting to explore trade possibilities occurred shortly after Hield's acquisition, when his inconsistency first manifested. But what began as contingency planning has evolved into serious consideration of a franchise-altering move. 3 separate sources connected to the organization have verified these discussions, though they differ regarding the practical viability of such a complex transaction. The internal division reflects the monumental stakes of this decision, one that could either extend the Warriors' championship window or precipitate a painful rebuild if miscalculated. In stark contrast to Hield's struggles, Bam Adebayo has blossomed into one of the NBA's most complete two-way forces. The 26-year-old Miami center has posted impressive numbers this season: 18.1 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 4.3 assists per game, while shooting an efficient 48.5% from the field and a surprising 35.7% from three-point range. What makes Adebayo particularly appealing to Warriors management is his remarkable development trajectory. Drafted in 2017 as a long-term project with limited offensive skills, he has transformed under Eric Spoelstra's guidance and Pat Riley's demanding culture into a versatile offensive weapon who maintains elite defensive versatility. This evolution from athletic defender to complete basketball player represents exactly the developmental arc the Warriors value in their organizational culture. Adebayo's ability to defend all 5 positions, orchestrate offense from the high, post and increasingly stretch defenses with improved shooting, would address multiple critical weaknesses in Golden State's current roster construction while complementing their remaining championship pieces. The potential on-court impact of pairing Adebayo with the existing Warriors core presents tantalizing possibilities. Defensively, an Adebayo-Draymond Green frontcourt would likely become the league's most versatile, featuring 2 basketball savants capable of guarding any position and executing complex switching schemes that characterized Golden State's championship. Teams' advanced metrics support this projection. Teams with Adebayo on the court allow 5.4 fewer points per 100 possessions compared to when he sits. This defensive partnership would provide what the Warriors have lacked since Andrew Bogut's departure and later Kevin Durant: an elite perimeter defender who simultaneously protects the rim. Offensively, a Curry-Adebayo pick-and-roll would create nearly unsolvable problems for opposing defenses, particularly given Adebayo's improved shooting range and playmaking vision. His elite passing ability from the high post would seamlessly integrate with Golden State's movement-oriented system, creating cutting lanes and open three-point opportunities that could revitalize an offense that has occasionally stagnated without Thompson's gravity. The financial complexities surrounding such a transaction cannot be overstated. Adebayo is midway through a maximum contract extending until 2026, while Hield has a more modest deal with just one guaranteed year remaining. This substantial salary disparity necessitates additional assets from Golden State to make the numbers work under the collective bargaining agreement. According to our sources, any viable package would require Hield as the salary-matching cornerstone, supplemented by at least one of the Warriors' promising young talents, either Jonathan Kuminga or Moses Moody, possibly both, plus multiple first-round draft picks. This represents an extraordinary investment that could either extend the Warriors' dynasty or, if unsuccessful, accelerate its collapse while mortgaging the franchise's future. The magnitude of this decision explains the reported tension within Golden State's front office, with executives divided between maximizing Curry's remaining prime years and protecting long-term organizational sustainability. From Miami's perspective, trading their defensive anchor might initially seem counterintuitive, yet circumstances could make such a move more logical than surface analysis suggests. With Jimmy Butler approaching his mid-30s and persistent salary cap challenges looming, Pat Riley has consistently demonstrated pragmatic flexibility in rebuilding rosters when necessary. A package combining Hield's specialized shooting with promising young players and valuable draft capital might appeal to a Heat organization potentially preparing for their next competitive iteration. Riley and Spoelstra have repeatedly demonstrated their ability to maximize specific skill sets while minimizing deficiencies, potentially unlocking dimensions from players like Hield in ways that the Warriors' system hasn't consistently accessed. The professional relationship between the organizations has historically been respectful, though without extensive transaction history, providing a neutral foundation for complex negotiations of this magnitude. The historical context surrounding this potential trade adds another fascinating dimension. Great dynasties rarely end abruptly, they transform. The Celtics of the 1980s reinvented themselves around Reggie Lewis after the original Big Three aged. The Bulls constructed a second three-peat following Jordan's first retirement. The Spurs evolved from David Robinson's team to Tim Duncan's dominance before transitioning to Kawhi Leonard's emergence. The Warriors now face this same evolutionary crossroads, with their response potentially defining their place in NBA history. Maintaining their current course risks following the path of dynasties that held on to their core pieces too long at the post-Showtime Lakers, the aging Celtics of the late 1980s, or the post-Jordan Bulls. Conversely, making too dramatic a change threatens the cultural foundation that enabled their unprecedented success. This delicate balance between preservation and innovation defines the challenge facing Golden State's leadership as they contemplate this momentous decision, attempting to extend their championship window while maintaining their organizational identity. The immediate playoff series against Houston may serve as a critical evaluation period that influences the urgency of pursuing Adebayo. Every Curry three-pointer, every Draymond defensive stop, every Hield shooting performance is being analyzed not just for its impact on the scoreboard, but for what it reveals about the team's future potential. Executives are reportedly watching with dual calendars in mind: the playoff schedule and a 5-year franchise development roadmap. For Stephen Curry, whose legacy already includes 3 championships, 2 MVPs, and recognition as basketball's greatest shooter, this potential roster reconstruction could represent his final opportunity to add another championship to his resume. At 36, facing his basketball mortality, Curry understands that talents of his magnitude appear once in a generation, making the opportunity cost of maintaining the status quo potentially as significant as the risk of bold action. The question that will ultimately determine the Warriors' path forward isn't just basketball strategy, but philosophical in nature. Is championship potential in the present worth sacrificing promise in the future? There are no risk-free options. Maintaining. The current roster risks wasting Curry's final elite years, while sacrificing young talent and draft capital for Adebayo could haunt the franchise for a decade if unsuccessful. In the basketball world, watches with bated breath as Golden State's leadership confronts perhaps their most consequential decision since acquiring Kevin Durant in 2016. Will this be another masterstroke that extends a historic dynasty, or the ambitious overreach that finally concludes a golden era? If you've made it this far into our exclusive report, you're clearly a true basketball connoisseur who appreciates the deeper strategic elements that shape NBA history. Drop a like on this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Would acquiring Bam Adebayo represent the perfect evolution for the Warriors, or should they trust their championship DNA and stay the course? The future of one of basketball's greatest dynasties hangs in the balance, and we'll be here bringing you every development as this story unfolds.